Hi, I'm Roberta. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make a Thai soup using some prawn and a little bit of pork neck. Also a few Asian vegetables, some lovely meaty shiitake, any Asian greens you like. I've got some of this beautiful choy sum today which is flowering, that's great. You could use bok choy, gai lan, anything you like. We'll throw in some green onions and some dried prawns. Now I know we told you about the importance of drying your own prawns, but there is one exception, and that is when you're going to put them in a soup and leave them whole. So these look very pretty floating around in the soup. As much as we love the flavour of the prawns we dried ourselves, they don't look very pretty. So you want the best commercially dried prawns you can get, which are quite large, even though they're still small size, they're larger than most. And you'll find them in the chilled section of your Asian grocery store. And if you're going to buy dried prawns, it's definitely worth buying the ones from the chilled section. We're going to add a little bit of yellow bean paste, which is a soybean sauce, adds a lovely nutty rich umami flavour. So long as you've done your prep beforehand, so long as you've made your deep fried garlic, which is going over the top, you've got your galangal powder, which is one of our seasonings, and you've made your chicken stock, of course, because you want a good base chicken or vegetable stock. You can use water at a pinch. You're set to go. One more thing we need to do, and that's make a little paste first. So let me grab the mortar and pestle and we'll make our paste. So many Thai recipes start with a paste, and this is a very simple paste. Some coriander root. Now remember, when we buy bunches of coriander, we want the ones that still have the roots intact. Cut off 1 centimetre or 2 of the stem along with it. Give it a good wash because there is some dirt down there. And then just give that root a little bit of a scrape to get rid of any dirt and the outer skin. Make your life easy. Cut it in half if you want. It pounds up pretty quickly anyway, into the mortar, in with the garlic. It pounds up really well too, and a good pinch of salt, because that's an abrasive, it helps it pound up. In this case, a grind of beautiful aromatic white pepper, and away we go. It really only takes a moment, but it is worth doing just before you're ready to fry. Okay, now David says this should be a coarse paste, so I think that's it. A bit of a pound, a bit of a grind, and that's ready to go into the pan. We're going to fry this off in some of that gorgeous pork lard that we rendered down, or if you prefer, some of the oil that we use to deep fry the garlic and shallot. You could use vegetable oil at a pinch if you don't have either of those. But hopefully, if you've been following along and doing all your prep, you do. Next we need to mince our prawns and our pork. I'm sure you know how to peel a prawn, but just in case, off with his head. David would tisk at me throwing the head away because of course he keeps it to make a beautiful prawn oil. And you can certainly do that. We tell you how to do that in the recipe booklet. But today, I'm just going to be naughty and get rid of those shells. Now, because we're chopping it anyway, I'll run the knife down the back to take the vein digestive tract out. Get rid of that. And now we're just going to chop them up as finely as we can. When we fry these off, we're actually going to try and keep them a little bit together, but ultimately as the soup develops, as we stir it and as it gets ladled into the bowls, it's going to get broken up anyway. But that's fine enough. It doesn't have to be a super fine puree. We want some texture in there. Now we're going to do the same thing with our pork. You could use pork jowl, pork neck, maybe not pork belly, that might be a bit too fatty. Really, any pork you've got on hand is fine. This is neck, and it's a nice amount of fat to meat ratio because that fat is going to help season the soup. So again, just chopping it up relatively finely. Do be careful because of the fat, it is slippery. So take your time, make sure your knife's nice and sharp. So there we have our pork minced up and ready to go into the pan with our prawns. Let's get our veggies ready. Now, one of the secrets to stress-free cooking, especially Asian, but really any cooking, is to get all of your prep done before you start. So let's get our mushrooms sliced up, nice thick meaty slices, and our greens ready to go. Now, I think shiitake are perfect for this, but of course, if you couldn't find them, you could use oyster mushrooms. You could even use button mushrooms at a pinch, even though they're culturally inappropriate. Best not tell David I said that. Leaves for our choy sum, we'll just pull them off. Maybe some of the bigger ones we'll slice in half. And then these stems, we're just going to give them a slice on the diagonal. Just think about the textures that you want in the soup and how quickly things are going to cook. So things that are going to take longer to cook are going to need to be cut up finer. Green onions, 3 or 4 of those depending on size, off with their little root ends. Make sure you've got rid of any dead bits that are on the outside, and then again just a nice slice. We want to taste those, we want to feel the crunch of those as we bite into them. You can go quite a way up the stem end. Nothing that's looking like it's a bit tired, but anything else, why waste it? I think with our bigger leaves, we're probably going to want to cut them into a few pieces. So maybe we'll just roll them up and give them a bit of a slice like that. The thicker stems, we definitely want to give a nice thin slice too, because as I said, it's all going to cook at the same time. So we want to make sure we get good textures. And the beauty of it all going in together means it can all go in the bowl together now. So we have our lard or garlic oil in there. In with our paste. Let's get it frying up just for about a minute until it starts to colour. Okay, that garlic's just starting to colour. I don't want it to burn, and I can smell that white pepper. It's very strong. In with our prawns. In with our yellow bean paste. And just give that a bit of a stir around, because once our mince goes in, we actually don't want to stir it. We just want it to fry and hold together. So in with our prawn, in with our pork. Let's just press it onto the bottom of the pan, maybe give it a little bit more heat, and just let that fry without disturbing it for a minute or so, and then we'll turn it over and get some colour on the other side. Let's just turn that over. It is going to break up, but we don't want it to disintegrate. All right, in with our veg. Let's turn that heat down now. We just want to wilt these greens. Start to soften that mushroom. Just going to pop the lid on for a minute to let it wilt down on a low heat, and then we'll give it a stir. So there we are, our greens are wilted down. In with our stock. We'll just increase the temperature, bring that up to the boil, and then turn it down for a simmer for 15 or 20 minutes, and soup is ready. So, here we are. Oh, it smells wonderful. The shiitake and the white pepper are the two things that jump out at me. Now, the all-important final seasoning. A pinch of the galangal powder that I just happen to have ready. A pinch of white sugar. A good splash of fish sauce. A good grind of white pepper. We'll give it a stir. And we'll give it a taste. Now, how you season it is really going to be up to your personal taste. I've been judicious with the fish sauce, so I'm going to go back and give it just a little splash more, and then I think it's perfect. Now, remember, in Thai cuisine, soup is not an entree. It's not a starter. It's just an integral part of the meal. It arrives on the table with all the other dishes. You have a sip, you have some curry, you have some salad, you go back to some soup, you have some of another dish. It really doesn't matter. It's just part of the meal. Perfect. Oh, yes. Okay. So, into our bowls. You'll see that we have those beautiful whole prawns. That was worth getting those rather than using the ones we've made ourselves in this case, because they do look so pretty. And yes, there they are. The final touch, which will add a lovely, rich, nutty, toasty flavour as well. Some of our deep fried garlic that we just happen to already have ready to go. Minced pork and prawn soup with Asian greens. Enjoy.